This is a brand new Mustang GTD, and in this video we're going to cover 10 hidden features that you did not know about this vehicle. And because we're under-promising and over-delivering, we have a couple of bonus options for you as well. Starting out with the turn signal. Because of the front end design of this car, you'll notice you've got a nice blinker located right here. But the problem is the car's so wide and it has such aggressive aerodynamics that when you're viewing the car from a hard angle over here, you can't see the normal blinker. But Ford has fixed that by adding an extra blinker in the grille of the vehicle, so that way you can stay street legal in all 50 states. The next hidden feature will blow your mind. Because Ford has sculpted this car to be so wide, in every single one of the states, this vehicle should have 3 amber lights, just like on an F-150 Raptor, because it exceeds the overall width of the vehicle. The beautiful thing is Ford was able to find a loophole. What do I mean? Well, Ford didn't want these big, ugly 3 amber lights going in the front of the grille, so they needed to find a way to keep the overall structure of the vehicle the way that they wanted without adding those ugly lights. But to do that, Ford needed to prove that this vehicle could never, ever, for any reason, be used as a commercial vehicle. Let me show you how they did that. On the backside of the Mustang GTD, this is normally where you'd find your trunk. But this car is not a normal car. And instead of a trunk, you've actually got something that Ford is calling their technical panel, a tech deck for short, if you will. You've got 2 latches on the front side here, and then you've got a remote release right here, which allows you to grab this entire panel and pray that I don't drop it, because from what Ford has told us is to replace this panel.
Yeah, it's about $20,000 before paint, so just be gentle.
But you have a carbon fiber lid that is really never supposed to be removed. And as you can see right there, there's precisely 0 space for any kind of storage of any kind. And because Ford was able to prove that, they were also able to prove that this car is a non-commercial use vehicle. Nobody could ever store anything back there. And that's one of the reasons they were able to avoid those 3 ugly amber lights in the front and the back of the vehicle. A hidden little feature for you. While we have this technical panel pulled off, I thought it would be fun to show you our next hidden feature, and that is going to be located back here. This is the lightweight lithium-ion battery that Ford puts in this car, and yes, it's in the trunk. Number one, for weight distribution, that 50-50 weight distribution, but in addition to that, it's just lightweight and it goes around a track faster when you can save a little bit of weight, because she's already heavy as it is. But what is so neat about this and what is so hidden about it is 2 things. Number one, it's a pain in the butt to pull that technical panel off every time. So there is a provision up front where you can plug the vehicle in to the fuse box, and that way you just pop the hood every time you want to leave it on the battery tender. But what happens if you forget to put it on the battery tender? Well, Ford has got a fix for that, because if you forget to put it on the battery tender and the battery goes dead, it is a big old hairy process to get back into the vehicle and to get it to where you can start it back up. So what Ford has done is they've left you a reserve tank and a specialized remote to help you do this. So let's pretend the car battery dies completely all the way. Well, you would bust out this little remote, and when you press that button, it will actually activate and re-wake everything up to give you one more chance to start the car. I think it is so cool that Ford gives us a remote dedicated for situations just like this. Before we jump into the next hidden feature, I'm so proud that this is the only publicly accessible Mustang GTD that I know about in existence. So basically what I'm trying to say is anybody who wants to come visit and look at this car, you can do so. It's on the showroom of our brand new TC Customs facility in Pell City, Alabama. I'll have the addresses right there on the screen, and feel free to come take a look at it anytime that you want to. We're very, very excited to actually show this to the world, which is hopefully one of the reasons that Ford actually chose us to buy this car specifically. But the next hidden feature is this right here. The hood gurney flaps is what Ford is calling them. So when they were designing this vehicle and getting ready to go around the Nürburgring, you know, they were designing the car and the whole front end was done, and the driver said, you know what, I just wish I had a little bit more bite on the front tires. And they found a way to redesign this area to let more airflow come out, but also to increase the downforce. By putting these little flaps right here, which by the way are only available when you get the track package or the performance package, if you will. When you opt for that package, it gets you these hood gurney flaps that creates a little bit more downforce by this lip right here. But because it does that and it starts to turbulent the air right in this direction, it also does a better job of pulling the hot air out of the engine bay. And I think that is so cool. But if that's not enough, these mesh grill inserts actually come out pretty easily with just a little bit of a turn, and you pull it out and you can really take it in and out as time allows. Quite frankly, I don't know why we haven't removed these things yet, because it looks awesome without them in there. For the next hidden feature, we've made our way out back once again to arguably the most prominent feature of the new Mustang GTD, the gooseneck style wing. And there's a lot going on here, so we've got a couple of things that I want to cover with you. But the first one is most people don't realize this system is actually not mounted to the body. So you have this whole wing and it looks like it's mounted to the body panel right here. Well, the problem is the massive amounts of downforce this wing creates, over 2,000 pounds worth of downforce, not just for the wing, but overall for the whole vehicle, 2,000 pounds worth of downforce. You would simply crush the rear part of the vehicle if you didn't do what Ford has done. So instead of it mounting to the body, it's actually going in and further down and connecting into the rear subframe of the vehicle, basically where the transaxle is and all the suspension components. Yes, this wing is mounted into that exact same situation. So that way, even though the wing is way back further than the tire, it's actually putting the downforce directly on top of the tire, creating better downforce, not just more downforce. But the next hidden feature is even cooler. Most people don't fully understand why this is what we call a gooseneck type of a wing. You know, that's my imitation of a goose in the neck. That's really bad. I'm done with the dad jokes for the day. But basically the reason that it's mounted from the top side instead of the down side is because most people think that the airflow is going to be coming and creating the downforce by pushing the air down. And although that does increase the downforce by, you know, the air traveling on top of the wing and pushing it down, the real downforce is actually made from underside of the rear wing. That's why they wanted one massive solid panel. Why did they want to do that? Because it's kind of like an airplane wing. And what's happening is the air from underneath the wing is going to be traveling significantly faster than the air on top of the wing. So instead, it's not downforce, but it's almost like it's sucking the vehicle down to the ground by the air moving faster on the bottom side. It's an unbelievable set of technology and wind tunnel testing Ford has done on this car. The cool part about this upper wing is this is technically considered active aerodynamics, assuming you get the performance package, that is, and it is all controlled with the screen up front. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The screen inside of the Mustang GTD is very similar to a Mustang Dark Horse. In fact, it does have some updated graphics to denote that it is a Mustang GTD, but other than that, it's pretty much the exact same system with one major difference. When you come in here into the screen itself, when you click on it, you can actually see different track apps, you can find different brake performance, acceleration timers, you have shift indicators, all built into the system. But getting back to the active aerodynamics for a second, there is an on-off toggle. But the beautiful thing about this aerodynamics, it works like this. Once you get above a certain speed, it will automatically open and close. Now there's a couple of reasons for that, and I have a feeling it's very similar to our 2021 Ford GT, is that it's hydraulically actuated. So you don't want anybody getting their fingers in there and it opening and closing when you're at Cars and Coffee. It might cut a finger off, right? That's not gonna be good. And so you've got to be rolling for that active aerodynamics to open and close. Yet another fun feature about this vehicle. The Mustang GTD has got a 5.2 supercharged engine with 815 horsepower, and your fuel economy is going to be affected by that. You can see right here, we've got 139 miles until empty in this specific scenario as we sit. But the fun fact for you might not have known is when you drop the vehicle down into track mode, the miles until empty completely goes away and they move over to a percentage of fuel left, which is 59% fuel left in this particular situation. I guess Ford realized that when you're at the track, it doesn't really matter how many miles until you have until empty because you're gonna be getting miles per gallon, not miles per gallon. The next hidden feature may not be a feature, but it is really cool nonetheless. And I want to talk about our spec for a quick second to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, this is a lightning blue 2025 Mustang GTD, but it has the very specific specification of a carbon series, which means you're looking at exposed carbon fiber throughout the vehicle, on the front, on the top, all of that kind of stuff. But you'll notice that there is a blue stripe in the middle, and some people think that that is a cosmetic hue. It's actually not. It's a cost-saving cue. What do I mean by that? Well, this is actually, and there's an option above this. If you don't like the stripe that runs down the middle of the vehicle, you can actually delete it, but you have to pay a significant amount of money just to get this tiny little paint stripe removed. That doesn't make any sense. Why in the world does Ford charge for a lack of paint when you've got no paint right next to it? The answer is pretty simple. This is hand-laid carbon fiber that is made at Multimatic. And what you'll notice is that there is a specific weave pattern with that carbon fiber, and you'll notice that it meets right here in the middle. They call that a chevron. And so if you wanted to get rid of the stripe, that is called the exposed chevron option. And basically what that means is you not only have to make sure this chevron matches perfectly, but you have to make sure that the chevron matches all the way back from the front to the back of the vehicle. It requires a whole lot more extra effort to make sure that the carbon fiber pattern matches up beautifully. That is another reason that the liquid carbon Ford GT and the liquid carbon Mustang GTD are astronomically expensive, is because you have to make sure that all of these different panels match up perfectly. It truly is a work of art. The next hidden feature is underneath the hood. And to do that, this is not one of the hidden features, but it's a 4-step process to actually open the hood. You have those 2 hood pins up front, first off, then you have to pop the hood, and then you have another hood latch. So if you're counting, that is 4 different steps just to open up the hood. But underneath the hood, this is where the glorious 5.2 V8 supercharged 815 horsepower comes into play. But there's a fun fact for you, is this engine is severely throttled. Not only from the factory when you get it, it's in limp mode until you get through your break-in period, but even when you get out of the break-in period, it is also severely throttled. What do I mean by that? Well, this is not just a normal engine from like a Raptor R or the old school GT500. They've actually got an updated camshaft and a lot of other things on the inside to give you the extra horsepower, especially on the high RPMs. That way they can go around the track a whole lot faster. But the problem with that, having that more aggressive cam, is that on startup, the catalytic converters are not up and running yet, and they struggle to actually burn off the particulates that the engine kicks off. And so thanks to all of the regulation that we have and making sure that they're 50 state legal, this is one of the very few vehicles that is a gas engine that has an EGR system, exhaust gas recirculation system, built into it to help burn off the particulates in the exhaust. What do I mean by that? Well, take a look at the intake tube located right here. You'll notice that there's a couple of hoses here, and if you follow these hoses, it'll actually go all the way down and pipe into the exhaust system. The reason they're doing that is they're trying to ignite that catalyst a little earlier, especially on those cold starts. What that tells me is, what is this engine capable of if we didn't have to follow those specific rules? It's pretty incredible. And since we're still in the engine bay, I want to show you another fun fact, hidden feature, if you will, but it's not on every Mustang GTD. This is CNC billet aluminum coolant reservoir for the engine and also the supercharger, the intercooler, if you will. But what is a fun fact for you is, because they wanted to get these cars out within a certain time frame, they were not able to get the plastic reservoir tanks out in time. And so if you pop the hood of a Mustang GTD and you see this aluminum, you can tell right there that is going to be an extremely early build of the Mustang GTD, because they have the plans on moving this over to just a plastic tank. I think that the CNC metal looks so much better, and I think it steps up the overall look of underneath the hood. The only problem is it's a lot more expensive to do it this way than just to do a piece of plastic. But man, I love it. I'm so glad that our car has this feature. The next hidden feature are going to be these lug nuts. Now, not every Mustang GTD has this option, but since we have the performance package, it comes with titanium lug nuts to reduce the rolling mass of the vehicle. It basically will help it handle a little bit better. I think it looks a whole lot better, but the cool thing about this, and the reason this is a hidden feature, is that when you take your tires off the vehicle, and if you go to retorque it and you just retorque it, you're going to cause issues, because this titanium is going to want to bond to this forged aluminum wheel. And so what you actually have to do is put a lubricant on the cone of the lug nut to make sure that those lug nuts don't permanently seize to the wheel itself. The last hidden feature on the Mustang GTD is so hidden, it's not even on the car. That's going to be the magnesium wheels. If you didn't realize, Ford Motor Company originally debuted this car with magnesium wheels. That was the key selling point. extra lightweight, even lower rolling mass, and it's gonna be awesome. And then when it came a little bit closer to time to order the car, they said, hey, no, it's only gonna be on the performance package. I was like, that's okay, we're gonna get the performance package anyways. And then when it came time to order the vehicle, they're having supplier issues and none of these cars are now shipping with the magnesium wheels. Now we did put it on our order that, hey, if they ever come available, please send them to us, but I'm not very hopeful at this point. But hopefully Ford will surprise us, but either way, it does not deter me one bit from a cool car like this. And I realized that was way more than 10 hidden features, but this is such a cool car. I felt like we really needed to do it justice because most people don't ever even have a clue. But the cool part is this car is on display at TC Customs in Town and Country Ford in Pell City, Alabama. The address is right there if you want to come take a look at it, or if you just want to take a look at some of the cars that we have for sale or the TC Customs customization that we can do in Pell City, Alabama, hit us up. I'll have those links down below. Thanks so much for watching this video and have a great day. Peace.